5 years ago, I dumped Qin Mo. 5 years later, he became an overnight sensation. Newly crowned Best Actor, celibate heartthrob, piano prince. His endorsement splash screens were all over my phone. While waiting for the light to change, I quietly watched an interview with Qin Mo on the street's electronic screen. I heard that back then, when your parents were seriously ill and drowning in debt, your first love left you. What would you most like to say to her now? Qin Mo pressed his lips together, taking a long time to answer. I fled that intersection in a panic, not wanting his sneering sarcasm or hypocritical blessings to disturb my peace. But I didn't hear the voice I left behind. She is the most precious person in my heart. Rainy days always mean particularly bad traffic. By the time I ran, gasping for breath, carrying my insulated food container to the front desk of the client's company, only 2 minutes remained until the delivery deadline. The front desk was empty, and my calls went unanswered. Just then, voices came from behind a nearby glass door. I hurried over, hoping to find someone to sign for the delivery. But when I saw the man sitting sideways on a high stool, my footsteps froze instantly. It was Qin Mo. He was looking out the window, his expression focused. His slightly raised jaw was sharply defined, his profile carved like a sculpture, exuding an air of cool aloofness, as if he were detached from the world. Teacher Qin, even Teacher Deng personally accompanies you for a photo shoot. Look at the wonderful relationship between our best actor and best actress. Exactly. Since Teacher Deng is already here, why don't we take a few group shots of you too? Just posting a couple casually would be enough to send fans into a frenzy. The Teacher Deng the staff mentioned was Deng Jiayan, a hugely popular star who, along with Qin Mo, had just won Best Actor and Best Actress for the film Heartbeat in Every Square Inch. In this blockbuster film, Qin Mo played a pianist, and all the pieces in the movie were performed by him personally. This earned him not only the Best Actor award but also the nickname Piano Prince, catapulting him to the pinnacle of fame. I watched Qin Mo silently. Scenes of playing a four-hand piano piece with him at the school anniversary celebration surfaced in my mind. The corners of my mouth unconsciously lifted. Amidst everyone's teasing, Deng Jiayan smiled sweetly at Qin Mo. Bro Mo, how about we take a few group shots? Qin Mo shook his head, his expression indifferent. No need. Deng Jiayan's expression froze only for a split second before she smiled gracefully again. All right, whatever you say. Dad said to wait for you to come home for dinner tonight. Remember to contact me when you finish work. Her intimate tone undoubtedly confirmed the close relationship between them for everyone present. Everyone chuckled softly, saying nothing. Deng Jiayan's father was the president of Jiayan Pictures, a well-known capital tycoon in the industry. It was he who had supported Qin Mo's rise from a music trainee to stardom. Once, when asked in an interview about the romance rumors between Deng Jiayan and Qin Mo, he had smiled and said, "Young people's affairs, as long as they're happy." That single comment had fueled the gossip even more. Seeing their intimate closeness in person was one thing. Watching their CP fans obsess over them online was another. I unconsciously tightened my grip on the insulated bag and turned to leave. Suddenly Qin Mo frowned slightly, looking at Deng Jiayan. You go ahead first. He then turned to everyone else. Just call me Qin Mo. Teacher isn't a title to be thrown around lightly. In an instant, the chaotic world before me seemed to fall silent. Images flickered and intertwined in my mind, memories flooding back of him trapping me in his arms, whispering in my ear, playfully and persistently forcing me to call him Teacher Qin. 5 years without seeing each other. Times had changed. That small glass door separated me and Qin Mo into two different worlds. Looking down at my clothes and shoes splattered with mud, I forced a faint smile, turned decisively, and quickly walked back to the corner by the front desk corridor. Just as I was about to call and urge someone to sign for the meal, a low curse suddenly reached my ears. Oh, what is this? It's disgusting. At the same time, I was shoved hard from the side, stumbling and nearly falling. Looking up, Deng Jiayan was glaring at me, her eyebrows drawn together, wiping her hand with a wet wipe, her face full of disgust. This harsh expression, as she cursed me, was a world apart from the gently smiling Best Actress from moments ago. The young woman beside her also pointed at me, following her lead. Are you mute? That's me. You bump into someone, Get them all dirty, and can't even apologize. I was nearly pushed over, yet I was the one being accused of bumping into someone. The young woman wore a work badge. She must be the receptionist who ordered the meal. I suppressed my rising disgust, wanting only to get the delivery signed for and leave as quickly as possible, avoiding a quarrel that could lead to an unwarranted complaint. I'm sorry. I was in the way. I've been waiting for a while. Please sign for it as soon as possible. The receptionist glanced at her phone, then looked at me with disgust, her face full of reproach. You're 6 minutes late. Do you have any idea how much trouble you've caused? We have an important shoot today, and now the photographer has had to go to work hungry. I'm definitely complaining about you. You can't even deliver a simple meal properly. What are you good for? You're utterly useless. I took a breath. When I arrived, there were still 2 minutes left, but there was no one here, and you weren't answering your phone. She cut me off sharply. Late is late, and you dare to make excuses. I'll make sure you never get another order, so you can stop causing trouble for other customers. I dug my nails into my palm, struggling to control my anger. Thinking of Qin Mo so close by, I didn't want to argue and draw attention. I quickly placed the meal container on the table and turned to leave. Suddenly, I heard rapid footsteps behind me, followed by Qin Mo's voice. Who are you talking to? His tone was probably very cold. The receptionist stammered and said nothing. Deng Jiayan's gentle laughter followed. Sorry for the noise, Bro Mo. Did we disturb your shoot? Ooh, don't even mention it. It was a delivery person, late and arrogant. They even pushed me just now. Look, they got rainwater all over me. Hey, Bro Mo, where are you going? Hearing the footsteps chasing after me, my mind buzzed. I hurriedly quickened my pace, escaping into the elevator like a fugitive. But just as the elevator doors began to close, I saw Qin Mo striding towards it. My hands trembled as I frantically pressed the close button. But then I saw his fingers reaching out to stop the doors, about to be crushed. In a panic, I switched to the open button, ignoring the crowd rushing after him. Calling his name, Qin Mo entered the elevator and immediately closed the doors. In the cramped cabin, his tall figure loomed over me. The pressure was almost suffocating. The year I broke up with Qin Mo, we were in our junior year of college. Now, 5 full years had passed without seeing each other. I had never imagined our reunion would happen at such a low point for me. Or rather, I had actually hoped we would never meet again in this lifetime. Fortunately, my mask and the visor of my delivery helmet concealed my face. I clenched my fists, forcing a slightly stiff smile. Do you need something, sir? He stared intently into my eyes, his chest heaving slightly. Suddenly he braced one hand against the wall behind me, his gaze dropping as he let out a light scoff. Sir? Zhao Yi. You're something else. His low, husky voice came from above. I steadied my wildly pounding heart, lifted my head to meet his gaze. But I was startled to see the corners of his eyes tinged with red. My throat tightened with bitterness. I tried to act as if I just recognized him. Oh, is that Qin Mo? Sorry, with your mask on, I didn't recognize you at first. Seeing him stare at me silently, I awkwardly adjusted my helmet and forced a smile. I can't believe you recognize me like this. You really have sharp eyes, movie Emperor Qin. He seemed to lose the last shred of his patience, suddenly gripping my shoulders with both hands. 5 years, and you have nothing to say to me? Instinctively, I violently slapped his hands away. Don't touch me. His hands froze in midair, his eyes filled with disbelief. Realizing my overaction, I quickly explained with a self-deprecating laugh. My clothes are dirty. I wouldn't want to get your hands dirty. He stared at me for a long moment, then suddenly turned his back to me, tilting his head up slightly. His tense jaw and trembling shoulders showed me he was struggling to contain his emotions. Pushing down the bitterness in my heart, I spoke softly. Qin Mo, I saw your success in the news. I'm genuinely happy for you. I know how hard these 5 years have been for you to reach this day. So, you must stride confidently towards your infinitely bright future. Don't let any bad news surface, like right now. Seeing him look back at me, I pointed at the changing floor numbers on the elevator panel, trying to sound light-hearted. This is a public place. Images of a movie emperor and a delivery driver scuffling would bring you controversial attention, which wouldn't be good for you. My life is actually fine now. Busy and fulfilling. Let's both just continue on our own paths. It's best for both of us, don't you think? He took a deep breath and snatched my phone from me. Disappearing for 5 years without a trace. And now you tell me to let things be. Who gave you the nerve? He hesitated for a moment, then entered a series of numbers on my screen, successfully unlocking the phone. On my phone screen was a photo of him. I wanted to grab it back, but it was too late. Qin Mo clenched my phone tightly, his voice hoarse, his eyes fixed on me. Two people who promised each other a lifetime. Is our bond really that fragile? Or did you leave because you thought I, Qin Mo, wasn't worthy of facing hardships with you? I curled my fingers inward, unable to utter a single word. I didn't want to see him because the past events were enough to erode the beautiful image of me he held in his memory. I didn't want to see him, more importantly, because I was cowardly and selfish. I wanted to preserve a shred of dignity and respect in his heart, and I didn't want to add an indelible stain or discomfort to his future life. Because of me. As we remained at an impasse, the elevator quickly reached the first floor. My phone rang abruptly. The caller ID showed Teacher Jiang from the kindergarten. He frowned, staring at the screen for a few seconds, then handed the phone back to me. I pressed my lips together and answered, putting it on speaker. Is this Zixie's parent? Zixie says his stomach hurts badly. Could you please pick him up as soon as possible and take him to the hospital? My heart tightened. Okay. I'll be right there. Please look after him a bit longer. Hanging up, I looked at Qin Mo's shocked expression. I said softly, see? We can never go back to how things were. So, not bothering each other is the best ending for us. With that, I ran out of the building. Tears blurred my vision, making it nearly impossible to see the road. The more I wanted to escape, the more fate seemed to conspire against me. I tried several times to start my scooter, but it just wouldn't turn over. The chatter of two passing girls reached my ears. Did you see that interview with Qin Mo? He actually said that woman who abandoned him back then is the most precious person in his heart. Oh my God, is he crazy? What do you mean? Don't you think it's incredibly appealing that a super handsome and manly, celibate best actor has always deeply loved his first love deep down? I'm totally into this kind of devoted man. Then what about him and best actress Deng Jiayan? Is it fake? But he and Deng Jiayan look so perfect together. There's no other pair in the entertainment industry with such perfectly matching visuals, okay? I'm a die-hard CP fan of Mo Shan-jia Ren, and I absolutely refuse to accept they're fake. But don't you think that since Qin Mo publicly stated, right as his film with Deng Jiayan is hugely popular, that his first love is his most precious person, he's basically dismantling the CP himself? Better wake up soon. Qin Mo has had no scandals all these years. Being his solo fan means you'll never be let down. Why torture yourself as a CP fan chasing shadows? My hand, trying to start the scooter, froze instantly. The tears I'd been holding back burst forth. So, he had actually said I was the most precious person in his heart. But I was guilty. I didn't deserve that word from him. Precious. Qin Mo and I were high school classmates. He sat behind me. He was not only a top student but also incredibly good looking. And even more impressively, he played the piano exceptionally well. He was always quiet, not one to hang out with the others. I, on the other hand, was outgoing. And as the class's culture and arts representative, I was always busy organizing this and that, getting along with everyone. Whenever the chatter during breaks got too loud, I would secretly glance at Qin Mo, who was usually reading, and quickly shush everyone with a finger to my lips, lowering the noise. For 3 years of high school, I was jokingly called the shush representative. Later, I heard that Qin Mo's parents were both doctors, often busy with surgeries and night shifts, unable to take good care of him. Especially when I noticed Qin Mo often skipped breakfast, I started bringing an extra portion. Qin Mo, my mom made too much breakfast for me again. Could you help me out? I would often carefully place various breakfast items, sometimes a few steamed buns, a small bowl of noodles, or some egg pancakes with milk on his desk, smiling as I asked for his help. At first, he would always frown. Ask someone else to help. I'd just smile. Oh, come on, top student, great guy. I know you've already eaten, But wasting food is such a shame. You wouldn't just stand by and watch food be wasted, right? Besides, you're a guy, eating a little more won't hurt. Just do a good deed and help out. He'd look at me helplessly. Don't let it happen again. I'd nod like a chick pecking rice. Definitely, definitely. But the next day I'd continue. He'd frown helplessly again. Last time. Definitely, definitely. And the day after that I'd continue. Slowly, I wore him down to the point where he couldn't be bothered to argue anymore, and just took it and ate. And I gradually became his closest friend in class. How close? So close that just before the 80th anniversary school celebration at the end of our freshman year, he invited me to perform a 4-hand piano piece with him at the event. He spent 2 whole months teaching me in his spare time. The first time we played the Fantasy in F minor, all the way through together, he nodded approvingly. You learn fast. I stuck out my tongue and showered him with praise. It's because Teacher Qin teaches so well. He, who rarely smiled that day, his dark eyes crinkling. Teacher Qin can teach you more in the future. Like what? How many hidden talents do you have? His smiling dark eyes gazed at me tenderly. Take it slow. I'll give you everything I have. Hold nothing back. Promise? Want to pinky swear? Pinky swear, 100 years, no takebacks. That summer, in his family's music room, we sat side by side. The slightly flushed teenage boy and girl, faint smiles on their lips, their fingertips dancing over the piano keys, the gentle breeze occasionally lifting the curtains, stirring sweet ripples in our hearts. After our perfectly synchronized, stunning 4-hand piano performance at the school celebration, our relationship grew even closer. He would often lift his head from his desk full of books while I was joking around with classmates, quietly watching me, a faint smile hidden in his beautiful dark eyes. Little chatterbox, you talk so much every day. Aren't you tired? Little chatterbox. Focus. The answers aren't written on my face. Little chatterbox, did you understand today's physics lesson? Teacher Qin can give you some tutoring. Because of him, my academically demanding high school life was a beautiful time that made me smile even in my dreams. I often think back to that starry night on high school graduation day. The breeze played with the hem of my skirt, stirring circles in the moat's water. Countless stars danced upon the ripples, their brilliant, passionate light reflecting in the depths of Qin Mo's dark eyes and falling into my heart. Amidst the flowing water and chirping insects, he softly called my name. Zhao Yi. He gazed deeply into my eyes. My family isn't wealthy or powerful, and I dare not make empty promises of a life of luxury to the girl I like. The word like made my heart start to pound wildly. I looked at him earnestly, barely even daring to blink, afraid of missing even a hint of his emotion. But my parents have a very deep bond. They taught me that happiness isn't measured solely by wealth. Having the warm support and presence of family forever by your side, that's the most solid and truly happy life. So tonight, I asked you to come out because I wanted to tell you that I really want to spend my life with you. To be your warm support forever. And I want you to believe that I can definitely make you happy. If you're willing, I will keep my vow for life. If you're not, you'll still be my most treasured friend. You don't have to. I quickly stood on my tiptoes and covered his mouth with my hand, nodding incessantly. I'm willing. I'm willing. I'm willing. The solemnity in his eyes instantly melted into a smile. The next second, I felt the soft, warm touch of 2 lips on my palm. My hand jerked back as if electrocuted, with nowhere to hide. I hadn't expected him to be so mischievous. My face wasn't just flushed. My whole being felt like it was on fire, floating. Embarrassed, I lowered my head and hurried forward. But he, his breath uneven, pulled me into his arms with a large hand. The starlight of 18. The first kiss of 18. The purest, simplest happiness of 18-year-old Zhao Yi and Qin Mo. Buried forever in the deepest memories, never to return. The spring drizzle kept falling, unrelenting. It streamed down my face. I roughly wiped the water away, pushed the broken-down delivery scooter to the side and locked it, planning to hail a taxi to go pick up Zixi from kindergarten. Suddenly, an arm grabbed me. I turned back to look. Qin Mo, not allowing any refusal, firmly grasped my wrist and pulled me back into the building. Qin Mo, I said, I'll drive you to get the child. It'll be faster. But you, the child's health comes first. Even though Qin Mo was wearing a mask, His distinctive aura made him too dazzling, too hard to miss. Feeling the stares of passers-by pausing to glance at us, I felt like I had targets on my back, but I couldn't break free from his grip no matter how I struggled. It wasn't until we entered the underground garage, and he fastened my seatbelt for me, that he finally let go and handed me his phone. Set the navigation. Looking down at the phone he'd pressed into my hands, my nose immediately began to sting with unwanted tears. Who would have thought that the wildly successful movie emperor was still using an old model phone from years ago? And this very phone was the one I had bought for him with my first college scholarship. Our Yiba is amazing, actually winning the first-class scholarship. I'm going to treasure this phone forever. Later, we'll pass it down to our kids as a family heirloom. His laughter from back then still seemed to echo in my ears. But we would never have that forever anymore. Car sped along. He broke the silence, his voice husky. The child. How old are they? I came back to reality. 4. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw his fingers on the steering wheel tighten slightly. When he stopped at a red light, he turned his head to look at me. And the child's father. I had always thought the world was big enough that we could go a lifetime without seeing each other. But since we had inevitably crossed paths, I had to be even more resolute in cutting off everything between us. Him. I managed to smile. He's incredibly busy, but he's very good to me. The intensity in Qin Mo's gaze dimmed slightly. The light turned green quickly. Watching the fleeting street scenes, I spoke up first. I really did wrong by you, not even giving you a proper breakup. But back then, my mom suddenly fell ill, and I needed a lot of money urgently. So I found someone else to help me, Sixie's father. His business has been struggling the past 2 years, which is why I took up part-time delivery work to earn a bit more. But haven't you always said that as long as a family supports each other, there's no obstacle they can't overcome? So don't worry about me, okay? I'm pretty happy with my life right now. I told the lie with utmost seriousness. Then I chuckled lightly, trying to brush it off with humor. Gotta hand it to you, top student. You excel in every field. I really need to learn from you. Qin Mo was silent for a long time, then suddenly let out a scoff. So, am I supposed to thank you for this explanation 5 years late? I lowered my gaze, desperately suppressing the gut-wrenching remorse and agony within me. I'm sorry. It was a long time before I found out that your parents had also gone through so much back then. After an unbearably long, suffocating silence, Qin Mo spoke again. Do you know why I entered the entertainment industry? I shook my head slightly. I owed money, and I owed a debt of gratitude. The only way was to sign a contract with my benefactor and repay the debt through work. But another reason was, I thought that even if I couldn't find you, if someday you could see my name and my face everywhere on the streets, on your phone, on your computer, anywhere at all. He paused, turning to look at me, his voice catching slightly. I thought that way you would always remember me, that you would eventually come looking for me. I turned my head to look out the window, trying to hold my head up and take deep breaths, trying desperately to keep the tears from falling. I'm sorry. I really can only say I'm sorry. I shook my head at him, full of apology. But my feelings for you. They're long gone. Qin Mo's face instantly drained of color. He gripped the steering wheel tightly, his hands trembling violently, the veins on the back of his hands standing out starkly. Such a proud person. I had to use the harshest words to shatter all his confidence, to make him stay far away from me. Otherwise, what I would bring him would be a lifetime of pain. Seeing the kindergarten not far from the car window, I said softly, "Thank you for kindly driving me here. I can take a taxi to the hospital later. From now on, we shouldn't contact each other anymore. Given your special status, I don't want to be associated with you in any way, disrupting my peaceful life." The car slowly came to a smooth stop. He stared straight ahead, his voice hoarse as he spoke. "Hurry and take the child to the hospital." I thought he would at least jab at me a few times. But my Qin Mo. Why did he have to be so good? My nose stinging, I quickly said, "Thank you," and immediately got out of the car. After walking a few steps, I turned inadvertently and saw that his car was still there, completely motionless. I took a deep breath and quickly walked back. He rapidly rolled down the window, his gaze fixed on me. On his cool, handsome face, there was a rare look of expectation. "Qin Mo, have you ever heard that saying?" I offered him a smile. The best ex should be like their dead, never contacting, never disturbing. I watched as the anticipation in his eyes gradually turned cold. The corners of his mouth twitched slightly. He nodded faintly. As you wish. His car sped away, vanishing into the dust. My heart felt hollowed out, aching so much I could barely breathe. That this was the best ending for us. The better he was, the more I couldn't ruin him. I stumbled towards the kindergarten, holding Zixi in the back seat of a taxi. His little hand gently pushed aside my visor and softly wiped the corner of my eye. Sister, why are you crying? I sniffled hard and forced a smile to comfort him. Sister's okay. Sister was just a little worried because Zixi was sick. Then I'll be even better and more obedient from now on. I won't get sick again and make Sister worry. Our Zixi is the best, most well-behaved treasure in the whole world. Then Sister, don't cry anymore, okay? Zixi likes seeing Sister smile. Okay. If the examination shows Zixi is fine, Sister will smile happily. I hugged Zixi tightly. His understanding nature's so heartbreakingly precious. Years ago, when I could barely go on living ... Zixi was the only reason that kept me tenaciously going. After a few checks at the hospital, the doctor said Zixi was fine. Just a stomachache from indigestion. Some medicine would sort it out. The worry in my heart finally eased. After getting him to sleep, left the key with the neighbor grandma before I went out. Neighbor grandma was very kind. Whenever I went out at night, she would come to my place to help look after Zixi, in case he woke up scared in the middle of the night. But I didn't go out for deliveries tonight. I went somewhere else. A place I'd been afraid to visit for 5 years, yet always secretly went to. 5 years ago, on a spring night just like this one. It was the anniversary of my father's death. I was a posthumous child. My mother never remarried. She single-handedly raised me all by herself. Every year on my father's death anniversary, my mother would be very sad. So I specifically came home from school, had dinner with her, took her to a movie, and then sang karaoke with her for 2 hours. We let out all that repressed emotion, and finally, she felt a bit better. But who would have thought that on our way home, we'd run into 2 drunks? They shamelessly grabbed at me and my mother, not only saying horrible things but also getting handsy. The alley was deserted late at night. The 2 men, fueled by alcohol, dragged us along. My mother and I simply couldn't escape. Soon, my mother stopped struggling. She actually started talking to them, even playing along with their obscene chatter ... And just when they were smugly thinking they could have their way with us, my mother seized the moment they let their guard down, wrenched me from their grip, and pushed me away with all her might. Behind me came the sound of the 2 men cursing my mother and the slaps hitting her. I didn't dare look back. Crying all the way, I ran for my life out of the alley. Once out on the street, screaming for help, I crazily dashed towards the road to flag down a car. A car screeched to a halt. I fell to my knees, crying, begging the driver to call the police, to help save my mother. That kind driver not only called the police immediately, but also comforted me while anxiously getting out and running back into the alley with me to save my mother. That night, so much happened. Even 5 years later, it's still vividly before my eyes, the pain etched into my bones. Standing outside the gate of the Vegetative State Care Center, thinking of Uncle Qin's motionless sleeping face, his pale, gaunt features, I couldn't hold back my tears. That kind uncle who helped us was none other than Qin Mo's father. He had just finished a consecutive day and night shift, exhausted on his way home. Yet he didn't hesitate to help me when I begged. While fighting off the drunks to rescue us, he suffered a sudden heart attack. They managed to save his life at the hospital, but because his brain was deprived of oxygen for too long, he never woke up again. At that time, Qin Mo was abroad participating in an international university piano competition. Qin Mo's mother, bearing the pain, didn't tell him the terrible news, wanting him to focus on the competition. But Qin's mother, enduring that immense pain alone, had a heart attack herself days later, brought on by overwhelming grief, and ended up in the ICU. And me, the one who caused all this, the culprit. I never even had the chance to say thank you or I'm sorry to Uncle Qin and Auntie Qin. Even to this day this coward, timid and despicable, still don't have the courage to tell Qin Mo that I was the one who shattered his family's happiness, who burdened him at such a young age with a debt he could never repay. All I can do is try my best to earn money desperately. Over the past 2 years, I've been secretly sending all the money I save, via postal remittance, to Qin Mo, as a small compensation for what I owe him, and staying far, far away from him, bringing him no burden or trouble whatsoever. In the dead of night, at the gate of the care center, my face streamed with tears. I wished with all my heart that the person lying unconscious was me, not Uncle Qin. For 5 years, every time I thought of that night, I sank into deep self-reproach and pain. Living ... It hurts too much. Only by working non-stop, keeping constantly busy so I have no time to remember the past, can I find a moment's peace. It was past 10 by the time I got home, in a daze. Neighbor Grandma had already fallen asleep with Zixi. I quickly sat down at my work table and got busy. For 2 years, I'd hit dead ends everywhere, unable to find any formal, stable job. I had no choice but to deliver food to make ends meet. But initially, when Zixi wasn't in kindergarten yet and needed someone during the day, I had to drag him along with me on deliveries, constantly worried about tiring him out. My income was pitifully small, so I racked my brains trying to figure out how to earn more money at night. A year ago, by chance, I discovered a community called Doll. The clothes and shoes for dolls were surprisingly expensive. I've been interested in handicraft since I was little, and I'd studied fashion design in college. After carefully researching for a few days, I bought some simple materials and tools and started trying it out. Those delicate little clothes and tiny shoes, they looked cute, but making them was extremely laborious. I did deliveries during the day and made doll clothes and shoes at night. It was hard, no doubt, but isn't everyone struggling to make a living? Who doesn't work hard? Luckily, my efforts finally started to pay off, from making only a few hundred or 1,000 kuai a month at the beginning. Gradually, the clothes and shoes I carefully designed gained a good reputation and repeat customers. Orders piled up faster than I could make them, and the prices kept rising. In the last few months, my monthly income has been over 10,000. So, I was originally planning to stick with it a bit longer, and once the doll business was completely on track, I'd stop delivering food. I want to work hard to earn more money, to raise Zixi well, to cover Uncle Qin's medical expenses, and also to fulfill my old dream of becoming a designer. Through every late night, my companion was every show and film of Qin Mo's. Tonight was no different. Out of habit, I opened a travel variety show where Qin Mo was a special guest. Amidst the enthusiastic barrage of comments, the host smiled and asked, "Qin Mo, you're so popular. Is there any memorable travel destination you'd recommend to everyone? Somewhere they can follow in your footsteps and check in?" Qin Mo answered without hesitation, "My favorite is the night view by the moat in our northern city, Biking." I was momentarily stunned. That summer night, under the brilliant starry sky, the moat really was beautiful. So beautiful. The barrage comments were already buzzing with excitement. People from other cities were saying they wanted to come soon. Locals were saying they'd check it out tomorrow. Quite a lively scene. The host smiled and asked Qin Mo again, "Since we're talking about biking, is there any food you can recommend?" He thought for a moment, then said softly, "My most unforgettable is the Ghee Sweet Noodle House at 23 Qingfeng Road. That place has the taste of home that I love most. What a pity, the owner stopped making it 5 years ago. The awl I was using to poke holes in a shoe suddenly stopped. That was exactly the small restaurant my mother had run for over 10 years. And many of the breakfasts I brought Qin Mo back then were made by my mother's own hands. I never imagined he still remembered my family's little shop." Watching the barrage fill with enthusiastic fans wanting to check in at 23 Qingfeng Road, looking at Qin Mo's indifferent and slightly forlorn expression on the screen, my heart ached with a mix of complex emotions. He loved the taste of home most. I was the one who destroyed his home. I didn't dare imagine the look in his eyes, full of hatred towards me, if he knew the truth. I didn't dare. As if afraid that Qin Mo on the other side of the screen could see through my despicableness, I frantically turned off the show. Uncontrollable sorrow. Uncontrollable regret. Hours passed. Not only had I not finished a single pair of shoes, I'd even pricked my fingers twice. Wide awake, I silently opened Qin Mo's Weibo, wondering if he had posted anything after our unexpected reunion today. But instead, I was captivated by a trending topic that had exploded. Qin Mo Deng Jiayan beloved family. Even though it was past 2 in the morning, the popularity of that tag with its little red flame kept climbing. Clicking in, I saw a Weibo post from Deng Jiayan earlier tonight, reposted by various media outlets. At a luxurious and warm dining table, Qin Mo's slightly smiling profile was clearly captured. Qin Mo always had that cool and aloof look. No media had ever photographed him smiling. So this relaxed, faintly smiling Qin Mo undoubtedly showed a more real side of his life, truly exciting and enchanting fans. And the caption Deng Jiayan paired with this photo obviously echoed Qin Mo's words on the variety show tonight. The end of the journey is a warm home. Love my family most. Love the taste of home most. Recalling her intimate remark to Qin Mo earlier today, in front of everyone, Dad said to wait for you to come home for dinner. This Weibo post is equivalent to making their relationship public. Not only were the Mo Xiangjia-ren CP fans celebrating wildly, but even the individual fans of both stars were rarely in harmony. Qin Mo's years of being scandal-free, and Deng Jiayan's well-maintained public image of a goddess made their seemingly official love story look like a perfect, flawless fairy tale. I gently traced Qin Mo's image on the screen. I could see he looked very relaxed. That was good. He finally had a warm home again. I'd heard Deng Jiayan's family had a lot of background, so she could get the best resources effortlessly. If Qin Mo ended up with her, the rest of his life would be smooth sailing, free from worries. A person as good as him deserved the best happiness. I saved the photo, gently placed the screen by my pillow, and using tears of blessing for him as my pillow, gradually fell asleep. What I never expected was that in this early morning of fan carnival, Weibo would completely crash and paralyzed due to Qin Mo's response that followed closely behind. In the morning, after sending Zixi to the kindergarten for breakfast, I immediately started accepting delivery orders. The morning rush hour is a good time to get jobs. To take as many as possible, I didn't even take a break until after 10, quickly scarfing down a bread roll by the roadside to stave off hunger. When I casually opened Weibo, several new trending topics made me freeze for a moment. Qin Mo confirms relationship. Qin Mo admits love for non-celebrity girlfriend. Heartbeat in every square inch turns heartbroken. Mo Xiangjia-ren officially over. I quickly clicked into Qin Mo's Weibo and saw that shortly after Deng Jiayan's post last night, he had also posted one. My lover is not in the entertainment industry. Thank you everyone for your blessings. Just a few words, but each one was a slap in the face to Deng Jiayan. Thinking about Deng Jiayan's family background, I secretly felt a bit anxious for Qin Mo. Being so disrespectful. Could it cause him trouble? I clutched my phone tightly, but then realized there was nothing I, useless as I was, could do to help. I shook my head sadly. Given the cruel words I'd said yesterday, they should be enough for his pride to make him stay far away from me for the rest of his life. So whatever Qin Mo's reasons for doing this, it actually had nothing to do with me. Once paths diverge, each person should just walk their own road well, and not try to stick a foot into the other's path. Otherwise, no one can live well. So, I stuffed the last bit of bread into my mouth and started accepting orders again. Suddenly, my phone rang. Zhao Yi, let's meet. I never expected the person asking to meet me was Deng Jiayan. She had meticulously applied makeup, her hair in a high ponytail, and looked noble and elegant in a sapphire blue little suit. She scanned my delivery uniform, curling her lip disdainfully. You are pretty. No wonder Qin Mo can't forget you. But pretty or not, you're just a delivery girl, not fit for the spotlight. I looked at her calmly. Casually threatening people doesn't suit your goddess image, Miss Deng. If this got out, your loss would be too great. If she hadn't threatened me using Zixi on the phone, I wouldn't have wasted time meeting her. Just wanted to chat, not really a threat. Deng Jiayan smiled, lighting a cigarette. I'm a straightforward person, so I won't beat around the bush. Qin Mo is my fiancé. I can't allow my man to have another woman in his heart. You understand? I shook my head. No, I don't. I don't even contact him. You've got the wrong person. Deng Jiayan blew out a smoke ring, pointing at her chest with a cold laugh. But he has you in here. I've accompanied him for 5 years and I still can't dispel your ghost. Who else am I supposed to talk to? But he's not in my heart. I met her hostile gaze. The matter between you and him, you should solve it with him. Her expression froze for a moment. Then she suddenly laughed. Ha, you're pretending like it's real. He's Qin Mo, the guy everyone covets. And you say you have no feelings for him? You think I'll believe that? I looked at her silently. The experiences of these years have taught me one thing. Never get overly entangled with paranoid people, especially wealthy and powerful ones. Just tell me what you want me to do, Miss Deng. She stared at me, slowly retracting her smile. Will you tell Qin Mo yourself? Or should I tell him exactly how his father ended up in that situation back then? This was the first time I truly experienced the superpowers of the wealthy. The case back then was very special. There were no surveillance cameras near the alley where the incident occurred, so the details of how Uncle Qin got hurt couldn't be clarified. And to protect the victims involved, the police didn't inform the Qin family about the victim's identity. So when Qin Mo returned home, he was hit by the thunderbolt of finding his father in a vegetative state, and his mother seriously ill. He only knew his father had been involved in a criminal conflict while saving someone, nothing more. I really never imagined that Deng Jiayan could, in just one day, uncover the connection between me and Uncle Qin. I don't know what else she found out, but I didn't want her to keep digging. My face pale, I slowly said, "Fine. I'll tell him myself. Completely put your mind at ease. He'll never think of me again. And please, stop here. Don't disturb my life anymore." Okay, deal. Deng Jiayan's red lips curled up. "Give me the recording of your confession to him, and then leave biking forever. Then I'll stop investigating you. But you remember this. If I ever find out you've contacted Qin Mo again, your life will be hell from then on." I nodded heavily. "It's a deal." "What's a deal?" The door suddenly pushed open. Qin Mo, his face cold, walked straight towards me and Deng Jiayan. Deng Jiayan frantically stubbered out her cigarette, wringing her hands nervously. Bro Mo. Qin Mo looked at her coldly. "Deng Jiayan, your father is my benefactor, not you. And the way I repay that debt is clearly stated in the agreement between me and your father. It has nothing to do with you." Ignoring her reaction completely, he finished speaking, took my hand and said, "Let's go." "Qin Mo, stop right there." Deng Jiayan quickly ran and blocked our way, her face delicate, on the verge of tears. "You still know my dad is your benefactor? Then you know my dad hopes you'll be his son-in-law. Why play dumb? Publicly slapping my face without a word, even if I don't hold it against you. Do you think my dad will just swallow that? The only reason I wanted Zhao Yi to stay away from you was because I was afraid my dad would hurt her. When it comes down to it, I did it for you." Qin Mo said, word by word. "I'm repaying a debt, not selling myself. I, Qin Mo, will never sell my feelings or my marriage." Deng Jiayan cried and stomped her foot. "I don't care. If you dare take one step out of here with this delivery girl, I'll ruin your career." "Believe me." Qin Mo nodded. "Suit yourself." He pulled me and walked out quickly, without a moment's hesitation. Deng Jiayan screamed my name from behind. "Zhao Yi, you'd better remember my warning. He can afford to be crazy, but you can't." My heart felt stuffed with gravel, crushing me so I couldn't speak, making every breath painful. Qin Mo directly took me to his car. The car sped off. I tightly gripped the handle on the door. "Qin Mo, calm down. You fought so hard to get where you are today. You can't ruin your future and career on impulse." Qin Mo was silent for a moment, then turned his head to glance at me. "Care about me? Really, or pretending?" I was speechless. Was this being so talented that you're fearless? That Deng Jiayan was right about one thing. He could afford to be crazy, but I couldn't. "Qin Mo, I told you, I don't have feelings for you anymore. We ... If you don't have feelings, why the hell do you care about me? Got nothing better to do?" Fine, to be honest, I don't want you to drag me down. I can't afford to mess with Deng Jiayan. What did she threaten you with? Don't be afraid. Tell me." I bit my lip hard, taking deep breaths. Qin Mo glanced sideways and saw my anxious look. He actually reached out and tousled my hair. "I never gave Deng Jiayan any hope. She's been the one persistently bothering me. Last night, I couldn't take it anymore, and explicitly told her father I could never accept her. Her father is a businessman, only interested in profit. So don't worry. Deng Jiayan won't cause any real trouble for me. As for you, the best way to protect yourself is to stay with me, and stop trying to fool me with that Zixie's father nonsense." I checked. Zixi is your younger brother. I looked at him in surprise. He couldn't help but curl his lips into a smile. Little chatterbox, you used to chirp so much it was annoying. Now suddenly you're tongue-tied. I'm really not used to it. I was so mad I laughed despite myself. Chirp, chirp, chirp. You're the one who chirps. He laughed too, his gaze as gentle as a lake. Really, you have no idea how annoying you were. Every time I wanted to quietly solve a math problem, I'd hear you chattering away like a little sparrow. And I couldn't help but want to listen to what you were saying. Then your chirping would be all that was left in my head, and my problem-solving thinking would be gone. Yeah, right. You just couldn't focus. Don't blame others. I'm telling you, Xiao Yi, it's just that I have a good temper. Otherwise, I would have shut you up long ago. Right. You have such a good temper you made the class beauty from the next class cry several times, and her brother even gathered a bunch of people to come after you. She harassed me, and she was in the right? Spoiled brat. Besides, what did all those people matter? They still couldn't beat me. Yeah, they couldn't beat you. You're so tough. Your face was all scratched up like a big tabby cat. I still had to put medicine on you, and you were all gritting your teeth complaining I was too rough. Time seemed to flow back instantly. In those days of being together under the sky of our teenage years, even the air was sweet. Qin Mo's low, soft sigh reached my ears. Silly. Who told you you're my girl? I wouldn't let anyone else take care of me even if they wanted to. That gentle, my girl, instantly reddened my eyes. I was silent for a long time, then said softly, Qin Mo, park the car. I have something to tell you. But Qin Mo kept driving all the way to his apartment complex's parking garage. He looked at me with burning eyes, his voice low and husky. Parked. Shall we go home and talk? I nervously avoided his gaze and let him pull me out of the car. When we got to his place, I was surprised to find he actually lived in an old-fashioned residential building, across the street from where my mother and I used to run the Yi Sweet Noodle House. I never imagined, you actually live in a place like this? He led me to the window. The window directly faced the Yi Sweet Noodle House, though now the sign had been replaced by a tea shop. For 5 years, I always fantasized that one day you would come back. So I bought this apartment. But I never heard from you, so I could only stare at that door, relying on memories of the past, scene by scene, to keep going. Imagining him, on countless days and nights, standing here lonely looking out the window just like this. My nose stung fiercely. Qin Mo. Stop. We can't be together. Deng Jiayan's threat echoed in my ears. I gathered my courage and looked at him, my voice trembling slightly. The person your father bravely saved back then, was me and my mother. And if I hadn't run out of that alley to flag down a car, your father would never have been in that accident. Seeing the shock in Qin Mo's eyes, I dug my nails deep into my palms. Yes, I'm sorry. Forgive me for not being honest with you all these years, for not apologizing. I was selfish and despicable. I'd rather avoid you forever than face your hatred. Qin Mo, I don't deserve to be with you. I've done even worse things. I really can't face you. The crimson images suddenly flooding my mind made my whole body start to shake. I fled his home in a panic. And he didn't chase after me. I trembled and cried. This was good, really good. It was just too bad for him, adding another object of disgust to his life, which had already returned to calm. I'm so sorry, Qin Mo. I loved you so much. But aside from dragging you down, I could give you nothing. For 5 years, I've never been able to shake the shadow of that night. I walked quickly, constantly wiping away the endless stream of tears. Calm down. Just calm down a bit more. Don't dare to hope for anything good anymore. But I thought I could force myself to face life calmly. Life, however, refused to let me off. In the afternoon, while delivering an order, I suddenly got a call from the delivery platform terminating my contract. I was stunned by the roadside. Why are you terminating my contract? We received a real name report that you concealed your imprisonment history from the platform. The platform has strict regulations regarding the conduct of our riders to ensure there are no safety risks for customers. Boom. It felt like a thunderclap exploded in my head. The scar buried deepest in my heart was suddenly ripped open by someone. The pain of blood gushing out made it almost impossible for me to stand. My hands trembling, I opened my phone. Sure enough, The scene I had feared most for years had finally happened. Deng Jiayan wasn't just out to destroy me. She wanted to destroy Qin Mo along with me. Qin Mo's non-celebrity girlfriend actually went to prison. Movie emperor's private life chaotic, entangled with criminal. Qin Mo faces massive contract penalties. Qin Mo's agency yet to respond to murderer rumors. I had always wanted to stay far away from him, to not be his burden. In the end, I still implicated him. I couldn't even imagine, after he learned I had ruined his parents, and then found out I was a criminal with blood on my hands, how cold his gaze of disgust would be. Yes, I had caused serious injury to someone. I was a criminal guilty of attempted murder. My hands trembling, I tried to steady my emotions. Deng Jiayan could send me to hell if she wanted, but I absolutely could not drag Qin Mo into it. I was about to make a call when my phone rang again. Jiao Shi's parent, please come pick up your child immediately. Our kindergarten can no longer accept Jiao Shi, to avoid other parents complaining to the kindergarten authorities. We don't want to argue with you. Don't bother saying anything. If you had honestly told us when you enrolled him that you were an ex-convict released from prison, we would never have accepted Jiao Shi. We're being very polite by not holding you accountable for the trouble you've caused. The kindergarten. Shi's bedding is already at the gate. Come quickly. Click. The phone was directly hung up. Immediately, my phone started ringing crazily. I instinctively answered, and a sharp, scolding voice immediately came through. Miss Zhao, have you no shame? Do you know you'll ruin Qin Mo? Do you know how hard it was for Qin Mo to get where he is today? We fans can't feel sorry for him enough. And you, a murderer, why aren't you rotting in prison? Why do you have to come and disaster Qin Mo? Miss Zhao, you. Go to hell. Go to hell. If Qin Mo's future is affected, we won't let you off. You. Listening to the filthy abuse, I numbly hung up. But the phone rang again the next second. My photo and prison uniform, along with my phone number and address, was rapidly spreading across the internet. Deng Jiayan was truly ruthless. She simply didn't want to leave me any way out. Enduring the throbbing, buzzing headache, I quickly set my phone to silent and hurried towards the kindergarten. No matter what, I had to pick up Zixi first. I couldn't let Zixi get hurt. The spring wind slapped my face, hurting terribly. It made the tears flow and flow. Through my blurred vision, I vaguely saw two familiar figures at the kindergarten gate. Inside the iron gate, a small figure was gripping the bars, looking at the person outside. The man outside was crouching in front of the little boy, gently stroking his lifted little head through the iron gate. They seemed to be chatting about something. Sunlight spilled onto their smiling faces. So gentle, so peaceful. As if the raging storm couldn't even get close. Sister. Zixi spotted me first and immediately waved her little hand at me. Qin Mo turned around to look at me and stood up. Seeing that I had arrived, the security guard immediately opened the gate, frowning deeply. You'd better leave quickly. Qin Mo held Zixi with one hand and carried his bedding roll with the other, cutting off my words before I could speak. Whatever you have to say it in the car. My head was already throbbing, close to exploding. Although I didn't want to burden him any further, not even a little bit, he had already put Zixi in the car, not giving me a chance to refuse. As soon as we got in the car, Zixi grabbed my hand. Sister, why won't the teacher let me come to kindergarten anymore? I sniffled, unable to speak. Qin Mo said calmly, because this kindergarten's level is too poor to teach our Zixi properly. Your sister and I are planning to find a better kindergarten for you. Zixi's eyes lit up and he eagerly grabbed Qin Mo's seat, asking urgently, will a better kindergarten have more toys? Will it have my favorite spaceships and space shuttles? Of course. Wow, awesome. Zixi clapped his little hands and looked at me excitedly. But when he saw my downcast expression, he suddenly shook his head again. Zixi doesn't want to change kindergartens anymore. A better kindergarten will cost more money, and Zixi doesn't want sister to spend money. The tears I had been holding back streamed down my face. I quickly turned my head away, looking out the window, secretly wiping my tears. Qin Mo's gentle voice reached my ears. Don't worry, Zixi. From now on, with Big Brother here, sister won't have to work so hard anymore. Really, Big Brother? Of course. Then will Big Brother stop bullying sister from now on? Qin Mo looked at Zixi in the rearview mirror, his eyes full of tender smiles. Who told you that big brother bullies sister? Zixi pouted. Actually, I know you, big brother, because sister has so many photos of you on her phone. I've secretly seen her touching your photos and crying many times. I quickly turned and covered Zixi's mouth, pulling him into my arms. Be quiet. Don't disturb your brother while he's driving. As I looked up, my eyes met Qin Mo's in the rearview mirror. He gazed at me and said softly to Zixi, Don't worry, Zixi. From now on, big brother won't let sister cry anymore. But his words only made my tears flow even more fiercely. I couldn't stop them. I initially wanted Qin Mo to take us home, but he was right. The area around my rented place was already crowded with people, looking as if they wanted to tear me apart. I experienced the terror of online bullying for the first time. I couldn't go home for the time being, so I had no choice but to follow Qin Mo. He took us to another property of his, in a residential area near his alma mater. It was quiet and far from the chaos. Once inside, he gave Zixi some Lego sets, and Zixi immediately became engrossed in building them. With the little one out of the way, he pulled me into the bedroom and looked at me seriously. Just because my dad had an accident while saving you, you want to avoid me for the rest of your life. When you told me today, I was indeed shocked by such an incredible coincidence. But by the time I reacted and went after you, you were already gone and had blocked my calls. I had no choice but to wait at Zixi's kindergarten, only to find out that Deng Jiayan had pulled this stunt again. He looked at me, sobbing uncontrollably, and sighed softly. What happened to my parents isn't your fault. If anyone needed help, my dad wouldn't have stood by. Besides, since you and your aunt are the ones my dad risked his life to save, how could I possibly blame you? Tell me, okay? What really happened that night? And what have you been through these past 5 years? I looked up with red-rimmed eyes, choked with sobs, unable to speak. He looked at me seriously, as if afraid of scaring me, and said very, very softly, Say it if you want to. Don't bottle up your grievances. But if you don't want to talk about it, don't force yourself. No matter what you've done, you'll always be the kindest, most perfect girl in my heart. That will never change. I looked at him in disbelief. My tears were completely out of control. No matter how much I wanted to escape that terrible night, every detail of it, even after 5 years, still clutched at my throat like a demon's hook. At that time, when Uncle Qin and I ran back to where my mom was, a man was assaulting her. She was crying out in pain, struggling, begging. Another man stood nearby, laughing wildly, saying unspeakably vulgar things while urinating on my mom's face. At that moment, I felt all the blood in my body rush to my head, my throat and mouth filled with the taste of blood. Uncle Qin, furious beyond measure, immediately shoved the safety hammer he had taken from the car into my hands. Hold on tight, child. Stand aside and protect yourself. After saying that, he rushed over and pushed the man who was urinating to the ground. He was about to pull the other man off my mom when the first man got up and charged at him, cursing. The two immediately grappled and started fighting. My mom's hoarse cries pierced me, causing so much pain. Clutching the safety hammer tightly, I trembled and threw myself at them without hesitation, slamming it hard into the back of the other man's head. The man, feeling the pain, turned around and grabbed my hair. In that instant, as he was about to pin me down, feeling like my scalp was being torn off, overwhelmed by pain and hatred, I went completely crazy, losing all reason. Crying, I swung the safety hammer at his head with all my might. Even when the man later fell to the ground and lay motionless, I was still afraid he might suddenly get up and grab me. So I didn't dare stop. In a brief moment to catch my breath, I heard Uncle Qin groaning in pain nearby. Turning my head, I saw the other man gaining the upper hand, his fists landing on Uncle Qin. So, disregarding everything, I rushed over again and swung the hammer at that man. That night, my world was reduced to nothing but blood. Dirty and disgusting. That night, my mom fainted. When she woke up, she was mentally deranged, her mind never returning to normal. That night, the only witness, Uncle Qin, had a heart attack and fell into a coma. The last words he left this world were the ones he said to me. Protect yourself. And that night, because I had severely injured those 2 drunk men, I was immediately taken into custody pending trial, with no one to testify for me. Extreme fear left me utterly confused, and at a lost dot at that time. I had no idea that the kind uncle was Qin Mo's father, nor did I know that he had become a vegetable because of saving us. At 21, in a state of panic and waiting, what awaited me was a 10-year prison sentence for attempted murder. Because the two men were drunk, their defense argued that their behavioral control was diminished, and after being injured by me, they had lost the ability to effectively resist. Therefore, my continuous fatal attacks, which caused them severe injuries, constituted attempted murder, and could not be deemed self-defense. In despair, I thought I would spend my youth in prison, never to see my sick mother, or my beloved Qin Mo again. In the end, a kind lawyer uncle persistently fought for me, and successfully got my sentence reduced to 3 years for excessive self-defense in the final appeal. Qin Mo, who subsequently returned to China, naturally couldn't find me, because by then I was a prisoner, having lost my freedom, my youth, and all the color in my life. Later, due to good behavior in prison, I was released 6 months early. I had thought that after getting out, I could finally take care of my sick mother myself. Who knew that my poor, ill-fated mother would be assaulted again in the psychiatric hospital? And after giving birth to Zixi, she left me forever without even waiting to see me one last time. Those surging and cruel memories, like lava erupting everywhere, engulfed me, submerged me, and burned me to ashes inch by inch. When I woke up, I was in the hospital. It was already late at night. The first thing I saw when I opened my eyes was Qin Mo's anxious and haggard face. The last image in my memory was the scene of me collapsing in front of him in tears after telling my story. Qin Mo held my hand tightly, his voice hoarse yet gentle. "Don't be afraid anymore. It's all over. No matter what happens in the future, I'll be with you. I won't let you carry it alone ever again." I tried to pull my hand back, but he held it firmly, refusing to let go. I looked into his bloodshot eyes and gently shook my head. "My stain can't be washed away. I can't burden you. The terror of that night has been an inescapable nightmare for the past 5 years, whether my eyes are open or closed." Seeing me start to tremble all over, Qin Mo's eyes were filled with pain. "You are the best girl in the world. That incident wasn't your fault. No one will blame you." Tears streaming down my face, I stubbornly shook my head. The shadow of that night was so heavy that it left me with a deep aversion to intimate contact with men. And in my condition, how could I promise him a lifetime? That's why I wanted to avoid him forever. To make him forget me forever. I struggled to pull my hand back from his grip. It was the first time he knew how much I resisted his touch. After a brief silence, he softly said, "I'm sorry." As if my soul had been hollowed out, I closed my eyes wearily, silently waiting for Qin Mo to leave. But then, a gentle and kind voice sounded in my ears. "Zhou Yi, do you know who I am?" I opened my eyes in panic. The person before me was actually Qin Mo's mother. Hidden under my delivery uniform, I had seen her countless times at the nursing home entrance. And every time I thought about how, because of me, she had narrowly escaped death and had spent the last 5 years rushing back and forth between hard work and caring for Uncle Qin, I felt extremely guilty, unworthy of forgiveness. I struggled to sit up. "Auntie, I'm so sorry." Mother Qin quickly stepped forward to support me, gently shaking her head. "Nonsense. How could that incident be your fault?" She held my hand. "Just now, Qin Mo called me. I immediately dropped what I was doing and rushed over. I didn't know you carried such a heavy heart, taking all the blame upon yourself. Old Qin has spent his life saving the dying and healing the wounded. That night, no matter who it was, he would have done his best to help. Silly child, how could the victim be the guilty one?" Mother Qin's tolerant and gentle gaze made my tears pour like rain, and I cried so hard I could barely breathe. She quickly stroked my back. "Don't cry anymore. Auntie wants to tell you some good news. If you keep crying, I won't tell you." Sobbing, I looked at her. She smiled faintly. "Your Uncle Qin started to react to our words last month. The most authoritative brain expert in our hospital has been monitoring his condition. There might even be a miracle of him waking up. When you're feeling better, would you like to visit him?" I was stunned. "Really? Uncle Qin? He ... double quotes. Of course it's true. At my age, why would I lie to a child?" Looking at Mother Qin's gentle smiling face, my tears wouldn't stop. Auntie, I'm sorry. Don't talk nonsense. Your Uncle Qin and I are not unreasonable people. Besides, you're the girl Qin Mo has liked since high school. For these 5 years, he's been waiting for you with a calm heart. As parents, how could we make things difficult for you? And you didn't do anything wrong, silly child. Stop crying. If you stop crying, Auntie will tell you one more thing. I wiped my eyes frantically. Please tell me, Auntie. Mother Qin handed me a tissue and said softly with a smile. Actually, I saw you back when you were a freshman in high school and came to our house to practice piano with Qin Mo. That day, I came home temporarily to pick up some documents. When I opened the door, I heard you two laughing in the music room. I quietly went to the music room door and took a peek. I was shocked. This son of mine rarely laughs so happily. A mother knows her son best. I could tell he liked the girl in front of him. I took a few more looks at you. Pretty, clever, and talented, you were really likable. My first impression of you was particularly good. At that time, afraid of making you too uncomfortable, I didn't make a sound and quickly left. Later, I pressed Qin Mo, and he confessed that he did like you, that he promised it wouldn't affect his studies. He wouldn't confess until you both got into university. Your Uncle Qin and I also went through this, so I always hoped you two could maintain that purest original aspiration and walk through life together. Now, we've finally found you. I believe if you and Qin Mo can be happily together and find time to talk to his dad, maybe he'll wake up sooner. I covered my face tightly, burying my tears in my palms. Qin Mo's voice sounded softly in my ear. For the 5 years my dad has been bedridden, he hasn't even been able to respond to us. But my mum has always taken care of him with all her heart and soul. Not only does she have no complaints, but she also often smiles and comforts me, saying that as long as the family is together, that's the happiest thing, and there's no obstacle we can't overcome. Life isn't really that long. We've already missed 5 whole years. I don't want to miss another single day. See, my mom doesn't blame you either, and my dad certainly wouldn't. So no matter what you say, I won't let you run away this time. Looking at the mother and son, I felt like I had cried all the tears of this lifetime. After I calmed down a bit, Mother Qin chatted with me for a while. Seeing that I was gradually opening up a little, she visibly relaxed and felt much more relieved. After Qin Mo took her back to rest, he handed me his phone. Trust me, everything will be fine. See, all your personal information has been taken down, and things are starting to turn around. Shortly after I was cyberbullied, Qin Mo quickly posted a Weibo message. My girl is the kindest and most perfect person. The victim is not guilty. The guilty ones are the perpetrators. With tens of millions of followers, he also prominently tagged more than 10 important official media accounts, including Peace Biking, Waxia Legal System, People's Daily, and Waxia Women and Children. Several renowned lawyers also reposted his Weibo and spoke out successively. Real-life perpetrators must receive the punishment they deserve, and online perpetrators must also be severely punished. There is an urgent need to reshape the concept of self-defense. The law cannot yield to lawlessness, and victims cannot suffer secondary harm. It is crucial to improve laws and regulations related to protecting victims' privacy. Qin Mo said softly, I have a classmate working in the system. I've already contacted him. What Deng Jiayan did, doxing and inciting online bullying, is a relatively serious illegal act. I'm now building up public opinion. No matter how her father tries to protect her, it's useless. I want to not only force her to completely withdraw from the entertainment industry, but also have her detained for a few days to teach her a lesson. With mixed feelings, I looked at him worriedly. Offending Deng Jiayan's father, what will you do then? Qin Mo smiled. Retire from the entertainment industry. Afraid I would worry, he quickly explained. I never intended to stay in this circle forever. Once I repay the favor, I'll be free. Besides, the money I've made for Deng Jiayan's father over the years is many times more than what I owed him. My contract expired at the beginning of the year. He's been wanting to renew it, but I refused. Then what will you do in the future, Tuti again? Retake the entrance exams and go back to school. Continue pursuing the dream I never realized. Seeing the light in Qin Mo's eyes, my own perspective suddenly brightened. The abandonment of his dream was exactly what had been weighing on my heart. And now, the dream he had been forced to put aside by reality finally had a chance to set sail again. How wonderful. I knew you'd be happy for me. Qin Mo gazed at me deeply, smiling gently. Do you know how happy I am? Having a like-minded partner with the same values is the happiest thing in this life. Bar none. He subconsciously reached for my hand but stopped abruptly just before touching me. I withdrew my fingers slightly. I'm sorry. Nonsense. He smiled faintly. Trust me. Everything will be fine. I nodded vigorously, my eyes red. A knock came from the door. Deng Jiayan and a tall, middle-aged man appeared in sight. The man's gaze was fixed intently on my face, making me feel indescribably uncomfortable. His face looked somewhat familiar to me, but no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't remember where I had seen him before. As soon as Deng Jiayan entered, she headed straight for Qin Mo, her eyebrows lowered in a pitiful manner that could move anyone to sympathy. Brother Mo, I came with my dad to apologize to you. I acted on impulse. Can you please not pursue this against me? Qin Mo glanced at her and completely ignored her, only nodding politely at the man behind her. If President Zhao is here to plead for Deng Jiayan, forget it. There's no way we'll settle with her. President Zhao? I hadn't expected that Deng Jiayan's powerful capital backer father wouldn't even share her surname. I saw him shake his head at Qin Mo, his tone gentle. Jiaya is spoiled rotten by me. What she did this time was utterly wrong. I won't cover for her. Actually, I came here to ask this child a few questions. Seeing his gaze constantly on me, Qin Mo immediately became more guarded and made a gesture to see them out. Sorry, President Zhao, my girlfriend isn't feeling well. If you have anything to say, you can ask me. Deng Jiayan's father didn't seem to mind his blunt tone at all, and even bowed his head slightly. I only thought, when I saw this child's photo, that she looked very much like an old acquaintance of mine. I won't hurt her, you can rest assured. Qin Mo frowned and looked at me. I nodded. Coincidentally, I also found him familiar looking. Seeing that I agreed, Deng Jiayan's father immediately walked over to my bedside. He seemed to hesitate for a moment, then asked softly, Child, are your parents doing well? Assuming he was an old friend of my father or mother, I replied politely, Hello, my parents are both gone. My father's name was Zhao Ji. He died in an accident before I was born. My mother's name was Fang Lan. She passed away from illness 5 years ago. The shock on Deng Jiayan's father's face was visibly palpable. His lips trembled slightly. You say, your father's name was Zhao Ji? Are you ... I carefully examined his facial features, and suddenly remembered where I had seen him. It was in my mother's old photos, the appearance of the young man intimately posing with her ... Could he be ... The moment my heart ached fiercely, I heard his choked whisper. I am Zhao Ji. Ever since I could remember, my mother had always told me I had the best father in the world. He was smart and capable, the best technician in their factory. He was tall and handsome, the subject of quiet whispers among all the female workers. He was gentle and considerate, a good man who cherished my mother. That year, after they held their wedding ceremony, before they had time to register at the Civil Affairs Bureau, he was urgently dispatched by the factory on a business trip down south. They agreed he would register upon his return. He even smiled and told my mother that the jewelry styles in the south were novel and fashionable, and he could bring her back a wedding gift when he came home ... But who would have known that during the trip, the bus my father was on would meet with an accident and sink into the river? Search and rescue technology was backward back then. Many passengers' bodies were never recovered. My father was on that list of missing passengers. The immense pain of losing her husband nearly crushed my mother. What made it even harder was that soon after, my mother discovered she was pregnant. Because my mother and father hadn't registered, she wasn't considered a legal spouse and couldn't receive a single cent of pension. My father had lost his parents young and only had an uncle back in his hometown, a relationship not particularly close. There was no support from his family for my mother. In that era, it was unimaginably difficult for a woman to raise a child alone. Everyone around her advised my mother to abort the unborn child and start her life anew. But my mother couldn't bear to kill me, couldn't bear to kill the flesh and blood her beloved husband had left in this world. For over 20 years, working from dawn till dusk, scrimping and saving, raising me alone. No one understands better than me how much my mother suffered, how lonely she was. Even when I grew up and proactively suggested she find a companion, she would just smile at me and say her heart was so full of my father, she couldn't make do with anyone else. But in the end, her husband, whom she had deeply loved all her life, because he was saved by someone from Hong Kong, followed that person's suggestion, changed his rustic name Zhao Ji to the more auspicious Yao Yugi, went with them to the bustling Hong Kong city, married and had children, enjoyed all the glory and wealth, and left her completely behind. I'm sorry, child. I didn't know your mother. Your mother was pregnant with you then. Looking at Zhao Yugi's apologetic tears, I laughed until tears came to my eyes too. Whether the first existed or not, what difference did it make? Who did he wrong? It was my mother. Even the day my mother had her accident, it was because she was reminiscing about him that we, mother and daughter, ended up in that terrible situation by a twist of fate. I'd rather my mother had never given birth to me. Child, don't get agitated. I had my difficulties back then. Hong Kong and biking was so far apart, I couldn't come back. Can you take me to see your mother? Let me say sorry to her in person. Double quotes. No need. I laughed as I looked at him. What can the dead hear? Why put on such a hypocritical act? Besides, if my mother could really hear, aren't you afraid her ghost would haunt you every day, tormenting you for revenge? The capitalist tycoon, worth hundreds of millions, slowly lowered his noble head after hearing my words. Can you forgive me, Zhao Yi? I'll do everything in my power to compensate you. Even less need for that. I looked away, towards the window. My mother said she named me Yi, remember? So I would always remember that I had the best father in the world. Too bad, my dad is dead. Why would I need compensation from an irrelevant person? Forgive me. I don't know you. You have no connection to me. There's no question of forgiveness or not. Zhao Yi. Deng Jiayan suddenly rushed over. Dad, look at her attitude. Why are you groveling before her? Just based on her looks and a few random words she made up, you're claiming kinship. Don't think just because my mom is gone, you can casually recognize some disreputable wild girl and bring her into the family. I don't acknowledge her. The family assets all belong to us Dengs. Don't you dare give her a single cent. With a loud smack, Zhao Yugi heavily slapped Deng Jiayan. You've harmed your sister like this, and instead of repenting, you speak such outrageous nonsense. You have no say in this family. Dad, you hit me? Deng Jiayan covered her face in disbelief, wailing loudly as she stomped her foot, and ran out of the hospital room. Seeing that Zhao Yugi wanted to continue talking to me, Qin Mo coldly blocked his way. Sorry, President Zhao. Please go back. Zhao Yugi opened his mouth, but faced with Qin Mo's unwavering insistence, he finally said nothing more and walked out dejectedly. In the now quiet room, Qin Mo silently stayed with me. If you want to cry, cry it all out. After you cry, let's not think about those irrelevant people anymore. I nodded vigorously, wiped the corners of my eyes vigorously, crushed the tears one by one. It was only on the day of my discharge that I heard Zhao Yugi had come to the hospital several times looking for me, but was stopped by Qin Mo at the door each time. Deng Jiayan, on the other hand, was detained for 10 days. The once glorious goddess, after paying enormous penalty fees for breaching over a dozen endorsement contracts, retreated from the entertainment industry in disgrace. But even though official media had already stepped in to harshly criticize Deng Jiayan's cyberbullying campaign against me, and discussions about protecting the rights of self-defense victims had sparked a wave of debate, I was still plagued by online harassment after leaving the hospital. Because the address of my rented apartment had been exposed, some die-hard fans would occasionally come by to harass and hurl abuse. To avoid being harmed by them and to stop causing trouble for my neighbors and landlord, I had no choice but to break the lease. During my hospitalization, Qin Mo had arranged for Zixi to attend a private kindergarten run by his friend. Coincidentally, his friend's child was the same age as Zixi. The two children played together wonderfully, ate and slept together, and the couple took excellent care of Zixi, for which I was endlessly grateful. Now discharged and homeless, Qin Mo took Zixi and me to his place. Sister, can we always live with Big Brother from now on? I really like it here. Zixi looked excitedly at the room Qin Mo had prepared for him, his little hands touching everything, utterly delighted. The blue-toned room was full of space and cosmic elements. Even the small bed was shaped like a spaceship. Not only would a child be thrilled, even I found it very appealing. Qin Mo's thoughtfulness deeply moved me, and for a moment, I didn't know how to answer Zixi. Qin Mo laughed. Of course a family should live together. From now on, the three of us will never be apart. Zixi's eyes lit up. Really? In that case, can Big Brother play Lego with me every day? Play shooting games to catch bad guys with me every day? And design all kinds of big airplanes with me every day? Qin Mo gently stroked his head. Of course. I'll do whatever you want to do with you. Big Brother can do anything. Wow, awesome. Zixi clapped his little hands happily, turned to look at me, and suddenly threw himself into my arms. Sister, are you even happier than me? From now on, you won't have to look at Big Brother's photos and touch his face. You can touch him whenever you want. I immediately covered the little guy's chattering mouth, my face turning completely red. Qin Mo looked at me tenderly, raised an eyebrow, and turned his face towards me. Come on, anytime, anywhere. Touch whenever you want. His eyelashes were long and trembled slightly with his smile. Each tiny tremor touched the tip of my heart. I pushed him away. Qin Mo, are you sure you won't regret this? I could very well become your burden and trouble. Qin Mo turned his head, the faint smile in his eyes as dazzling as the starry sky from when we were 18. I'll answer that question when you turn 100. I laughed despite myself. What if I don't live to be 100? He shrugged. Then try your best. Otherwise you'll never hear my answer. What a pity. With that, he hoisted Zixi onto his shoulders, letting him ride on his neck. Let's go. Prepare for takeoff. We're going to roam in outer space. Zixi, who had rarely interacted with men since childhood, was so excited by Qin Mo's actions that he screamed and laughed with joy. Watching the two of them laughing and playing in the house, the thick ice that had always imprisoned the depths of my heart seemed to be melting. Bit by bit, little by little, silently. On Qingming Festival, Qin Mo and I went to the cemetery together. I had so much to tell my mother. I sat in front of my mother's gravestone, just like when I used to come home from school and sit beside her. I chatted about this, and that ... I always had endless things to say to my dear mother. Except, I didn't tell her about Zhao Yuqi's existence. Since he had been a man dead for over 20 years in my mother's life, I wouldn't let such a despicable resurrection disturb her peace. It was already late when we left the cemetery. In the gathering dusk, Zhao Yuqi was leaning against his car, looking at me with urgent eyes. Zhao Yi, can I? President Zhao, I have a few words I'd like to say to you. Before I could respond, Qin Mo interrupted Zhao Yuqi. Under Zhao Yuqi's slightly disappointed gaze, he thoughtfully escorted me back to the car. I'll be right back. Qin Mo, please reason with Zhao Yi for me. Don't be willful and sulky. Realistically speaking, as my daughter and son-in-law, I can provide you with the best of everything. Why be at odds with a comfortable life? I was certainly wrong back then, but life was too hard in our era. Who wouldn't be tempted when faced with such an opportunity? Now that I'm old, saying I regret it is meaningless. I've missed the chance to make it up to her mother. I just want to compensate her as much as I can. President Zhao, you've been kind to me, and I mean no offense. But as Zhao Yi's partner, there are some things I have to make clear to you. Qin Mo spoke slowly. What you said is very true. No one wants to live a hard life. But abandoning your loved one because you're afraid of hardship is ultimately immoral. Besides, the so-called hard life you mentioned was actually much better than what many families had back then. It's just a psychological comfort you invented for your own immorality. Zhao Yuqi's face changed color. Qin Mo, how dare you speak to me like that? Qin Mo nodded slightly, neither humble nor pushy. Actually, when it comes down to it, it's just because Deng Jiayan is your stepdaughter, and the severe injury you suffered years ago left you unable to have children of your own. Zhao Yi happens to be an unexpected surprise in your regrettable life. Otherwise, given your esteemed status, even if Aunt Fang was still alive, you probably wouldn't acknowledge them. Now you want to buy peace of mind with money. But why should Zhao Yi fulfill your wish for completeness? Zhao Yuqi pointed at Qin Mo in stunned disbelief. You ... Preposterous nonsense. Your precious daughter Deng Jiayan spills all sorts of secrets when she's drunk. You'd better keep a tighter rein on her in the future. Qin Mo, You have no heart. If I hadn't taken pity on you back then, how could you be where you are today? President Zhao has a keen eye for investment, funding many desperate young people like me, casually tossing a bit of money from between his fingers to make us grateful, and then ruthlessly exploiting the rest of our lives. If I had made the same choice you did back then, everything you own today might eventually be taken over by this ideal son-in-law. Unfortunately, my conscience won't allow me to do that, and I don't aspire to that kind of life either. Zhao Yugui panted heavily for a long time, unable to speak. If you don't want Zhao Yi to know these truths, then stop bothering her. Qin Mo nodded to him expressionlessly. Goodbye, President Zhao. Facing the evening wind, Qin Mo strode back towards me, his tall figure leaving all the dust and dirt of the dusk behind him. Watching his hair, tousled by the cold wind, I murmured reproachfully, "Why waste so much time with him?" He frowned. "Oh, no." My heart tightened. "What's wrong?" He looked at me seriously. "Keep bad company, and you'll share the fate. I've become a chatterbox too. What now?"
Qin Mo. Yours, Zhao Yi's.
Looking at his gentle smiling face, I opened my mouth, but apart from smiling like an idiot, I couldn't utter another word. How incredibly lucky. Though fate was cruel, the boy who once lived in the depths of my heart had always stayed by my side. With Qin Mo's company, my mood improved significantly, and then Qin Mo gave me another big surprise. He used his savings to buy the tea shop where Yi Sweet Noodles used to be, renovated it into Yi Sweet Cottage for me, and let me open a studio specializing in designing clothes, shoes, and hats for dolls. He smiled and placed the keys in my palm. Doing what you love will sweeten your mood. True enough. When I focused my attention on my favorite activity, designing, my smiles gradually became more frequent. Qin Mo also successfully passed the graduate entrance exam for his alma mater the following year. Leaving the chaotic entertainment industry behind, he focused wholeheartedly on music, becoming the pianist he had always dreamed of being. My studio also became more and more successful, not only gradually building a reputation, but also planning to create its own brand. That summer, Qin Mo gave me a dreamlike, perfect wedding. We didn't invite Zhao Yugui to our wedding. Since I had no relatives, the elders present on my side were the kind Laoya uncle who had saved me back then, and the prison warden who had taken good care of me and gently encouraged me during my time in jail. Although Qin Mo had announced his permanent retirement from the entertainment industry, many celebrities still came to offer their blessings on our wedding day. The overwhelming surge of blessings and enthusiasm from fans caused Weibo to crash for an entire day. As for the large sum of money Zhao Yugui transferred into my account as a wedding gift, Qin Mo and I used it in my mother's name to donate and build an elementary school for a poor mountainous area in the southwest. And it was also at the end of that same year, with our daily chats and companionship, that Uncle Qin opened his eyes for the first time. At that moment, our family of 4 hugged each other and cried. This hard-won happiness, so ordinary yet so simple, continued to spread gently, move forward all the way. With Qin Mo and Zixie's companionship, my aversion to intimate contact with men gradually improved. From slowly being able to accept Qin Mo's hugs to later being able to accept his gentle kisses. Finally, one night 3 years later, I didn't push away Teacher Qin, who clung to me like an octopus. I don't know where that beast, no, Qin Mo got such boundless energy. The whole night I was so exhausted I didn't want to move a finger, yet he kept clinging to me endlessly, whispering teasingly in my ear. Little chatterbox, cat got your tongue? Can't be bothered with you. Then I'll talk and you listen. Okay? No, I can't be bothered to listen. How about I sing for you? Can't you just shut up and sleep? But I always want to kiss you. Can't shut up. How about I kiss you then? All right, all right, all right, you sing. You sing. Kiss first, then sing. After he'd had his fun, he finally laughed and hugged me tight. A melodious bass voice, like a cello, gradually sounded in my ear. There are so many people in this world. How lucky I am that I haven't us. Tears of happiness slowly welled up in my eyes. How lucky I was to have formed a nus with that most precious person, deeply hidden in my heart.